we did have a really good Napa Chevy, but that end of that first stint, I thought Denny and Tyler were a little better than I was, and I felt like the changes we made there at the break certainly helped, and I was a little concerned that, after losing the lead and losing control of the race, that, it was going to be difficult to get back there. And the restarts kind of went my way, got back to second, and then, got to the outside of Denny there, and, you had to give him a shot there to kind of get back underneath him. But I just felt like that was my only shot. I needed control of the race, and he's so good at controlling these things and controlling his tire. I really didn't want him to have that opportunity, or I didn't think I was going to get it back. So, I took my shot when I felt like I needed to, and fortunately was able to hold on from there. No, it's awesome. This is a great way to start our season in a place that I feel like has really earned the Cup Series to be back here at again. And I know it's been a long time, but it certainly has been, a fun weekend. I'm a little biased by how it all worked out, but it was a fun weekend for me at least. So, I wouldn't mind coming back either way. But it's been good. Appreciate NASCAR putting this on. I know this took a lot of effort. A lot of work from. I'm not sure who did all the work as far as changing the walls and putting the soft walls in and redoing the fence and all that stuff. But I appreciate all that work that sometimes gets overlooked, because I know it took a lot of effort. I could after the race for sure, which was awesome. It's we don't race in stadium-like environments like this, so it was just really cool to be able to really feel the crowd, be this close, after the race. And certainly when you win like that, it's, they're pretty invested in whoever wins, whether it's me or whoever else. But it was really fun for me, and I appreciate them, making that moment even more special for me to remember. And I think very fitting. He won the last Cup race here, if I'm not mistaken, in the 70s, and a legend of our sport, a guy that paved the way for many, many racers behind him. And I think that, it's a fitting trophy. Very proud to have earned it tonight, and enjoy, looking forward to enjoying the moment, obviously, but excited to take the trophy back home to HMS. Yeah, for sure. It was a great, a great weekend all around. And I totally understand it's not a points race for sure, but, you're still racing against really good drivers and really good teams, and everybody is out here. Everybody wants to win the race, it's whether it pays points or not. So I think that you were still getting everybody's best effort tonight, and always fun to, and because it's so hard, it makes it mean that much more when you do cross the line first. And it's just it's hard to do. It's tough. This is a competitive field, and these guys are closer and probably tighter than they've ever been. I do think we made our car a little better at the break. Not as much as I was wanting to make it better, but I do think we made it better, which could have been the difference. Just a little bit here or there to get to the end. But I think the way the race played out and getting to getting lap traffic, and fortunately I was got pretty fortunate with where I caught lappers and so on and so forth, just to keep a big enough gap to Ryan to where he couldn't get to my bumper on the last lap was kind of my thought. I know we're buddies, but I was totally expecting a shot, if he was close enough to do it, and just wanted to try to get as many lappers in between he and I as I could, for that scenario. Yeah, it was. Honestly, it felt more like a super late model race that I would have run historically growing up, something like that with, 100 lap break and then another 100 laps and getting tires at the halfway break and not having pit stops and things of that nature. So, I thought the race was actually really good from a tire wear standpoint. You actually had to save some tire. You could hurt them, and you ended up kind of coming down to that there at the end. Ryan and I were both, I think Denny and I all wanted control of the race, but we didn't really know how much tire to use to do that. And it was a little bit of a guess, and fortunately it worked out in our favor, at least this go around.